My mom says I've always been a curious child. You're a curious child.
Changing of the worlds. The symphonic or symphony, it implies stuff coming together, but it's neat because it's different things, it's different sounds, and the sounds are supposed to be different. You know, Mother Nature's creativity, things are different. It's not that everything has to be the same color. Skin doesn't have to be the same color. The flowers of the field all wear different raiment of colors. And so it is in sound, and so it is in Mother Nature's creation. Love came from a faraway land, and no creatures followed her because of the unequaled originality of her creations, so difficult to follow. And the goddess, Great Mother, beckoned me and enthralled me in sweet rhythms, unquote.
Terbium, tellurium, technetium, zirconium, molybdenum, ytterbium, krypton, cadmium, I think it's strontium, tantalum, aurum, and you put them together.
We've come up with a number of tunings. I created a series of tunings based on the periodic table and laid out all of the elements of the periodic table on the keyboard, calculated the frequencies.
I've always been fascinated by the periodic table anyway. I didn't know that I was going to get back to it through music. But I've just been fascinated by creation, you know? You wake up and you say, wow, look, I'm here. Who am I? You know, got a body, stuff is pumping through your heart, you're breathing. You know, what is it? You know, and it's just curious about how this stuff goes together. And the music is something about composition. The way things are composed, the movements of it, people coming and going. Like I said, I'm processing this death thing. But you know, you can look at death and you know, you start to see a doorway. You know, the never-ending worlds. It's like we change this form maybe and we move on. So death is it's like a doorway we're trying to understand.
Roy and Victor came to town. I've known Roy and Victor and the whole family really for almost 20 years now. And so they came to Asheville, and Roy and I went off at his request to meet with a man named Dan Winter. And Dan is a person that is known for extensive knowledge in what's called sacred geometry. And Roy was interested in creating a pattern, a finger pattern for his drums, as I recall. And as we started talking about geometric patterns, we also started talking about various ancient tuning systems. And as we were driving back from this meeting, I said, gee, you know, it'd be kind of fun to hear hydrogen and hear the sound of this ancient ratio phi.
The ratio that nature uses all the time. It represents the spiral that we see all the time, like the shape of our ear. If you look at the shape of the ear, you notice that's the shape of the bass clef in music. You know, the spiral that goes down the drain. It's also aesthetically pleasing. Our 8x10, our 3x5, 5x7, 8x10, 11x14, those are golden ratios because they say it's pleasing to our eye. So the ancient Greeks, ancient Egyptians used them for architecture. And so we're looking at music kind of like architecture, but it looks like this. There's one. This is almost two of these make the next one, but it's not two, it's 1.618. It's a golden ratio. Almost two of these make this next joint from there. It's almost two, but it's not. Almost two of these make the next joint. You know, so it goes boom, 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 and it just keeps logarithmically getting bigger, you know. In music, the way it is now, you have a note, do, then you have an octave, do, 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 do. Those are octaves, and the way the music is made, each octave, which is the same note repeated again at a higher octave, the way they break the ratio is 12 parts, evenly spaced in between those things, and that's a ratio where every note is like the 12th root of 2. Everything is evenly. But in the golden ratio, you don't necessarily get octaves. When you go to about 13 or 14, not just 12 notes, you go about 13, 14, 15 notes, and you get something that might be an octave. You know, it's not equal temperament, they call it. And during Bach's time, equal temperament really established itself because Bach wrote all those beautiful etudes and stuff using it. And it makes it so you can repeat melodies up and higher. With this, it's different. Every time it expands, it's a little bigger. It's a little bigger, so it's not, the notes don't fall uniform. It's unequal. It's unequal temperament. It's sort of like when nature does a snowflake, it doesn't repeat. The notes don't repeat, you know? Like you don't see a snowflake and every 10th one, you see the same one. It's like every one is different. Like every note is different. It's kind of something like that. It's an unfurling principle, and yeah, so we're just kind of exploring that.
How did you?
I don't know if that does that still sound technical?
Yeah. Do you have an understanding of the golden ratios?
Not at all. What I've come to know is that playing this music, I hear pitches that don't sound quite like the European pitches that I've known in that type of music, but they're more similar to Eastern European music or folk music of Persia, say, or Iran, or whatever, those types of countries. So I go for what my ear tells me to go, and I kind of go back to the roots of the sound of double reed instruments by playing in Western music you'd call it incorrect, but it's more fitting into the style of these folk music. So that's how one of the ways I can hear this music is by referencing to tonalities I've heard in different folk music around the world. That's gives me more of a human response as opposed to being very intellectual about, oh, I can't do something wrong here. I can dig into it because it reminds me of something that I've heard before in ancient music. So.
I thought Jeff was saying that it was a new thing.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's just,
What does he call that?
I don't really remember.
We're doing it in the last piece that you're going to hear, A Change of Worlds. We're dividing each section into 10 parts. So we're doing a decade, decatonic phi. Golden ratio is called phi, P-H-I. Some of the notes fall in between, and these players are in there playing this melody. And for me, it's exciting just to attempt to do this. And this performance piece is a blend between some of the things I've composed already and adding the acoustic players in. And this is, planting the seed of something.
I think Miles is lending the ear to some of these in-between pitches because in jazz they're always hitting two notes and stuff, trying to get the in-between notes, the blue notes. And with these pitches, there's a lot of blues to be found. I'm finding another approach. I used to keep in my wallet Miles Davis, a quote by Miles Davis, and Miles said the melody would be found again in the rhythm of the drums. He actually said the rhythms of the drums and the bass. And so I'm coming from the path of the drum, and I'm finding my way back to the melody, and as I approach the board, as I approach it, we're questioning the pitches, why the pitches are tuned the way they're tuned, and other ways that they can be tuned. And we're taking Mother Nature as a lead, using the ratios that she uses, and trying to understand her unequal temperament. Would it make Miles smile? Would this make Miles smile? So, we're getting into it.
To my brother house. He already done cooked for him because my brother wife cooked for him because he knew they were coming to buy. They would come up there and sit there and talk about
Crack between the worlds. Some of these notes fit in between the cracks. But there's melody there, and then there's reality there, as Don Juan spoke about.
Cut Bible wood. Take his song, come there.
The times that we've been in, we're looking back at a millennium now. Not just a decade, not just a century. We're looking back at a whole millennium.
Talk about the law. You don't see very much of that now. You ain't got time for it.
We're in that chapter, moving into this chapter.
Back to your first love, say I move the candlestick. Am I wrong? We better
It wasn't all good, it wasn't all bad. But we learned a lot from it, and out of that, wow, we can try some different things.
Look, ain't Bob, and he wants you, and you can't do anything in and God dang, I'll make you rule over many. You know, I heard him tell about,
It is nature's art that surpasses all music, film,